everyone, welcome back to On the Fly. Today we're going to be previewing the team that's going to be representing Canada at the World Junior Championships. So as we hop into today, we'll sort of break down the tournament. The tournament is one of the most popular events hosted by the IIHF. You could argue sort of the Olympics are number one, followed by the World Juniors. The most money is pushed through this event. A lot of history is behind this event as well. And when we look at it, there's a lot of pressure that comes with a team like Canada, a team that prides itself on its hockey abilities throughout the years, and a country that typically rallies behind this team. So when we look at it, obviously a lot of pressure, but throughout the years we've seen that Canada is able to live up to expectations, and hopefully this is the same look back sort of in the past few years. So in 2020 they did win gold beating Russia. In 2021 they lost unfortunately to the US in the gold medal game, winning silver. And in 2022, the most recent year in the summer edition, this happened.
Figure it out, let's go.
Or else you're not going to the NHL.
Oh, do one, come on.
Ken Johnson.
Let's go!
So that Kent Johnson overtime winning goal secured Canada their 19th gold medal. So with that being said, obviously a historic run for Canada, and we're hoping that this year they can collect their 20th. They'll start their campaign on December 26th at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, playing the Czechs. If you're looking at Atlantic time, 7:30, Pacific 3:30 p.m. And I'm going to assume for the most part that Canada's going to play all the primetime games. Each slot there is a 6:30 time available. So with that being said, it's most likely Canada will be playing at all these games at 6:30. So as we move through here, December 28th at 6:30 they'll play against Germany, Austria on the 29th at 6:30, Sweden on the 31st, 6:30. That is probably going to be the first real game where Canada faces a team that's equal strength to them. I don't really see Germany or the Czechs this year being as good as they normally are. They don't really have as much prospect pool as a normal year they would. Austria, really the team that has been lucky in terms of what's happened in the world, being able to be a part of this tournament for another year. Obviously they were the team that replaced Russia, who were kicked out of this tournament for what's going on in the world right now. But with that being said, Sweden, December 31st, 6:30, must-watch game. We'll be able to sort of see where Canada stands in terms of everyone else in this pool. I'd look at sort of four teams in this tournament. That's Canada, you have the US, you have the Swedes, and the Finns. So between those four teams, that's probably going to make up your semifinals. There might be a surprise in there, you never know. I'm sure one of these teams are going to surprise me, knock Canada off. And I will use this clip a little bit later, but with that being said, we'll move on down here. Quarterfinals are going to happen on January 2nd. I'm going to assume that game, if Canada makes it to the semifinal, or the quarterfinals rather, will be at 6:30 p.m. If they make it to the semifinals, January 4th, there's two slots. I believe it'll be the 6:30 p.m. game. With Canada being the host nation, they sort of get to pick. So with that being said, it'll be a 6:30 game. Bronze medal game is going to be on January 5th at 2:30. And then as we move to the gold medal game, once again, primetime slot, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on January 5th. So when I look at this team, I really do expect another sort of repeat of what they've been able to do. Their forwards are very solid, and we'll get to that in just a moment. Defense looked pretty good as well. Their goaltending, not necessarily the best they've ever seen, but if you've seen anything from Canada in previous years, they have been able to really make stuff out of nothing. And I think this is going to be really the same in terms of their goaltending this year. So we'll break down the roster right now, starting with the right shot forwards. So the only right winger, the normal right winger who actually plays right wing with this current team is from the NHL, Dylan Guenther. And then move to the right shot centers with Shane Wright, Logan Stankoven, Connor Bedard, Nathan Gaucher. And as we move to the left shot forwards on the left wing, Zach Ostapchuk, Brennan Othman, Joshua Waugh, Reed Schaefer. Center position with left shots are Caden Bankier, Adam Fantilli, Colton Dock, Zach Dean. And as we move to the defenseman on the left side, we have Nolan Allen, Ethan Del Mastro, Tyson Hines, Kevin Korchinski, Owen Zellweger. And as we move to the right D, Brant Clark from the NHL and Jack Mattier. And finally, with the goaltenders, we have Benjamin Gaudreau and Thomas Milic. So as we look at this team, I expect a lot more of the same. We look at this team, they're very solid in all aspects of their game. Their forwards, top six especially, the best we'll see at this tournament. The defense, by far, I think probably the best top four we'll see. The Americans might, Swedes might have something to say about that, but overall I expect the D to be really solid as well. The goaltending, not necessarily anything to write home about. They'll be sort of in that top 4 range with the Swedes, the Finns, the US. And I wouldn't be surprised to see them sort of really compete with the goaltenders, especially be able to compete with them. At the same time, though, I think if Canada is going to have one problem in this tournament, that's going to be it. I think their goaltending is going to be their sort of sore foot at the end of this. And we'll sort of see where they stand. I think they'll definitely not have to worry about relegation in this tournament, as they so often don't. But at the same time, what they really have to be concerned about is where they seed. And I think the big question, at least for me right now, is where are they going to end up landing? Will it be first? Will it be second? If they start to fall, if they lose to either Germany, the Czechs, or if they lose to Austria at that, then they're going to have a little bit more of a problem trying to get in. They'll have to play either the US or the Finns, most likely, coming in from the other Group B. So it's going to be interesting to see sort of what goes on there, and I am looking forward to it. I did create a little bit of a line chart, so be sure to let me know your thoughts down below. And so basically what I started with, the forward line, we have Fantilli, Bedard, Stankoven. I think Fantilli and Bedard are going to work really nicely together. Obviously, probably going to be the top 2 picks at next year's draft. That might be disputed, but at the same time, I think it's going to be Bedard 1, Fantilli 2. With Stankoven on the right wing, I think that's going to make a lot of sense for this. We move to the second line here. We have Othman, Wright, Gunther. Really the NHL line, I think, trying to reunite Othman and Wright is going to be an interesting move. I think it might work pretty well for them. And move to the third line here with Ostapchuk. We have Gaucher and Bois. And I think with this line, we're trying to get more towards less goal scoring and more towards that defensive responsibility. Finally, with this last line with Schaefer, Dean, and Doc, this is going to be your bruiser line. Canada always does have one now. It's either a bruiser line or it's a defensive line. This year it's going to be a bruiser line. You have 3 of the biggest guys with Schaefer, Dean, and Doc. So I expect not necessarily the most skilled of the lines. They are obviously skilled. They're a part of Team Canada at the junior tournament. But at the same time, they're going to be more of a grinder type role. They're all going to work together. They're probably going to put in their fair share of goals at the end of the day. They're very quality players, but they're going to be working the puck a lot more. They're going to be able to really battle in the corners. So for me, that's why I'm putting that fourth line together. And finally, when we look at the defense now, we have Del Mastro, Zellweger. I'm putting Zellweger on his offside. With Del Mastro, I think, trying to reunite that connection of what they've done in the previous summer edition of the World Juniors. I think that's going to make a lot of sense. Allen and Clark, for me, I don't really know if Allen's going to be the pick. I think it could be really any one of the defensemen. Korchinski, I'd also look at to be with Clark. But overall, unless Zellweger decides to play with Clark, which I don't think he's going to, because I think they're going to need Zellweger to play that right side. That's where I sort of see Clark on that second line. He might play top line. I mean, these lines are interchangeable as well. But at the end of the day, I do expect Clark to be not playing with necessarily the best players, but more just sort of someone that can fill that role. And we move to the third line here with Hines and Korchinski. These 2 players, I think, are going to benefit off each other. Sort of similarly minded with that offensive style, the puck-moving play. And I do expect these players to play pretty well together. Finally, with the goaltenders, Gaudreau, Milic. I think Gaudreau is going to end up winning the starting role, although Milic is by far probably the most potential-wise goaltender. So it'll be interesting to see who shows up in this tournament. That's going to determine, especially in the first few games. I would be interested to see sort of where that stands. But at the end of the day, that's going to be my starting lineup with the extra forwards of Banquier and Mathieu. 2 French guys. Sorry, guys. But at the end of the day, I think that's sort of where we stand. But at the same time, I do expect Banquier and Mathieu to make their appearance. Wouldn't be surprised to see if it's in that Austria game, maybe the Czechs, the Germans. Basically, if they need a change of scenery, they see a player that's not necessarily performing, an injury comes up, I expect these players to be plugged in. They're going to perform in their roles as well. So I don't think they have to worry about it too much. But with that, if you made it this far in the video, thank you for watching. If you'd like to drop a like, if you really like to, consider subscribing, tell all your friends, and leave a comment down below your thoughts on Team Canada. Until next time, see ya.